So the 2024 preseason officially underway. We just had the opening weekend of OHL games. It's exciting stuff to be able to be back in the arena. Of course, we had the OHL showcase in Kitchener where they featured 4 teams, and then Brampton back in the OHL. The Steelheads hosted the Guelph Storm, and then of course the Barrie Colts off to their 2-0 start. So exciting to be back in the arenas and just to be able to be prepared for a fresh regular season, which will get underway in 3 weeks' time. But what's fascinating is that not every team played over the weekend. If you look at the schedule, North Bay, London, Sarnia, Flint, Windsor, they didn't play over the weekend. So it's interesting to see how each team approaches the preseason. The schedules tend to be all over the place. Like, for instance, the Barrie Colts, they play a total of 6 games this preseason. Well, teams like Oshawa and Owen Sound, they only have 4 preseason games. So everyone does things a little bit differently, but it is still exciting to be back at the arenas for action. And it is a mixed bag, too, of veteran players and young players. And those NHL prospects, though, they're actually getting ready to leave in the coming days to go off to NHL rookie camps, which is exciting times. The players who've been drafted in the last couple of drafts, or they get an invite to try out and get some experience with some of these NHL clubs. We've seen that in the past. Last summer, we saw Connor Punnett. He was invited to the Detroit Red Wings camp, and then during the regular season, gets signed by the Dallas Stars. So it's just getting that experience, and that's what the preseason really is all about, is just getting back up into game shape, getting some new experiences, taking that next level if they're preparing for, of course, their NHL draft, which many players are. So, like I said, this is the point now where junior hockey fans pay attention to what players are at NHL camp. Do they make it to the main camp after the rookie camp? And then how long do they stick around? Most players will likely return to their OHL clubs. It's just a matter of when, who's going to go and play some exhibition games at the NHL level, who gets to see some regular season play. And then, of course, it's that 9-game limit before it takes that first year off of their NHL deal. So there's still a lot of questions to be had because there's players that could stick around, such as Easton Cowan, Callum Ritchie, Beckett Seneca, Colby Barlow, Jet Luchenko. The list goes on. But out of those players, I think Jet Luchenko could be a surprise with the Philadelphia Flyers as to making that team. I know that he was seen as having the best combine heading up to the 2024 NHL draft. So don't be surprised to see Jet Luchenko stick around a little longer with the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, if you're a Guelph Storm fan, you're probably having flashbacks of Matthew Poitras last year with the Boston Bruins, who ended up not coming back to the Guelph Storm organization. So Jet Luchenko could be in a similar path. We'll have to wait and see, but it is exciting times for all these players. And then, of course, I only listed forwards because typically the forwards will stick around a little longer at NHL camp. NHL teams like to send their defensemen back to junior to get a little bit more experience. So expect Sam Dickinson and Zane Parekh to return probably in the next couple of weeks. Of course, they were both selected in the first round of the 2024 NHL entry draft. So maybe they'll see some time with the main camp. We'll have to wait and see. But I do expect Dickinson and Parekh to return to their teams. But either way, it is exciting this time of year just to see how far these players go, because you want to see them succeed at the National Hockey League level. We want to see these players develop to become professional athletes in their craft. It's just at the same time, the junior teams have to pivot if something happens where a player doesn't come back because they stay at the NHL level or they end up playing in the American Hockey League. And we've seen that in the past as well. So exciting times. So just take note. The preseason games coming up this weekend, you won't see NHL prospects take to the ice as they'll be at those camps. But then after that, we'll start to see those players slowly return before we get to the start of the 2024-25 OHL season. Now, there were plenty of signings over these last couple of days, teams signing players at a training camp. Too many to actually list. I was hoping to try and stay on top of all the signings, but there was just too many to follow. Even the Barrie Colts announcing a handful of signings just the other day. So it is exciting. Every team has made some sort of signing out of training camp so far. But there was one trade over the weekend worth talking about as the Sarnia Sting. They traded Tyler O'Toole to the Oshawa Generals for an 8th round pick in the 2025 draft. Not a big trade. O'Toole, he's a depth defenseman at this point. He only appeared in 8 games last year for the Sarnia Sting. No points. He was a -4 with 14 penalty minutes. So for the Oshawa Generals, picking up O'Toole, kind of seeing what he might be able to develop into. He does have the size. He's 6'2", 194 pounds. So he does have that potential. We'll see if he makes the Oshawa Generals lineup. Remember, Oshawa, one of the teams in the Eastern Conference, looking to have a deep playoff run, similar to last year. They're looking to repeat as Eastern Conference champions. So a minor move with O'Toole going to Oshawa, but you never know. A move like this could spark something with him, and maybe he'll be able to click a little bit better with the line mates in Oshawa than he did in Sarnia. And then the Sting getting an 8th round pick is not too bad as well, which they can use in the upcoming OHL priority selection. Now, I just wanted to end this on the big question mark right now that's facing the Owen Sound Attack, and that's Colby Barlow. Barlow, he's a Winnipeg Jets prospect. He will likely stick around with the Jets into the main camp, but then how much time does he see with the Winnipeg Jets? Does he play in the 9 games and then get sent back to junior, or do they kind of delay it? Kind of like what they did with Shane Wright and Brant Clark. Those 2 players, of course, the Seattle Kraken and the LA Kings. You remember those 2 that they didn't play the 9 games right away. It was staggered and then on an emergency basis sent down to the American Hockey League. I'm almost wondering if we could be seeing something similar play out here with Colby Barlow, because Barlow, he did not attend training camp in Owen Sound. He decided to stay at home to continue his off-season training for NHL camp, which is kind of strange. We don't usually see this, but Dale DeGray, the general manager of the Owen Sound Attack, saying that more players are actually looking in this direction where they don't come to their junior camps before going off to the NHL development camp. But Colby Barlow, of course, he's an Aurelia native. He had a monster season when he was in the lineup last year, but you'll remember he did miss a large portion due to a back injury. So there are the question marks about his health. I'm sure the Winnipeg Jets are focusing on this as well. So that means what happens if Colby Barlow returns to the Ontario Hockey League? Right now, the rumor is he has requested a trade out of Owen Sound. Attack GM Dale DeGray, though, not commenting on that speculation, which makes sense, because if DeGray came out and said, yeah, Barlow wants out of Owen Sound, well, then the trade offers from other teams would probably be not as high as it would be if Barlow was willing to play for the Owen Sound Attack. So it is a very big question facing this Owen Sound Attack team, which looks to be heading into a retool, rebuild situation going into this season, which happens. The OHL, it's all about cycles. You have your years where you're a contender, and then you have your years where you're rebuilding. You're having the young talent, you're getting the draft picks. So that appears to be where the Owen Sound Attack are right now. It does sound like if Colby Barlow is traded, he'll likely end up in the Eastern Conference. There's a couple of teams that have been mentioned in regards to Colby Barlow, so we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But we've already seen some big moves. It's kind of been surprising how many big trades we've seen leading up to the preseason and the regular season. We had Carson Rykoff traded to Brampton for 10 draft picks. Tristan Bertucci ended up in Barrie in a 3-way deal. And then, of course, Ryerson Leander is off to Brantford for 8 picks. And it appears as though Colby Barlow will be the next player that will be moved to a new location. And, there have been similar questions about Quentin Musty as well with the Sudbury Wolves, or whether or not he'll be moved. But I think more of the focus has been on Owen Sound because, like I said, looking to be in a rebuild, retool situation, whereas the Sudbury Wolves looking to still be competitive. So for Quentin Musty, he'll likely stick around when he comes back. Or if he comes back, of course, there's a chance he sticks around at the NHL level. But this is just this is how the OHL works. These NHL prospects, if they're not on a contender, they do like to be on a team that's going to be chasing for an OHL championship. So I can't confirm if Barlow has requested a trade. That's just the rumors and the speculation right now. But all signs indicating that Colby Barlow will have a new home in the Ontario Hockey League when he returns to junior from the Winnipeg Jets camp. So that's how I see it from the booth. I'm just excited we have OHL hockey back. It was nice to be back at the Saddle Arena these last couple of days. And I can't wait until we do our first broadcast. It's going to be on September 19th when the Barrie Colts take on the Brampton Steelheads. And that's going to be the final home preseason game for the Barrie Colts before they get set for the 24-25 OHL regular season. So, like I said, that's how I see it from the booth. Don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on any of these news items. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe as we continue to chat about the goings-on around the Ontario Hockey League. And, well, yeah, we'll just continue to have these conversations. Why not? Again, thank you very much for your support. Talk to you again soon.